My name is Diana Belmonte. This is Hanika Hadungstat and Syed Mohsin. And we're going to be talking about the infrastructure of the Philippines energy sector. We focused on the National Power Corporation, which we will also refer to as NAPACOR. We're going to say that a lot. This entity recently controlled all aspects of electrical transmission in the Philippines, including generation and distribution of electrical power. The first thing that we recommend is institutional and structural adjustment. The Philippine grid systems are outdated, and so we recommend incremental and achievable changes through maintenance, technological updates, and repairs. We recommend further research and development, and we recommend creating an independent monitoring body that's not politically affiliated. The second policy recommendation is modify the Electrical Power Industry Reform Act of 2001, APIRA. We recommend revising Section 68.
We should promote public-private partnerships, especially in places where it's most cost-effective to do so.
The Philippines has a population of 103.8 million people, and its urban population is 49%. The country is comprised of over 7,000 islands and a density of 346 people per square kilometers. The country's GDP is $390 billion in purchasing power parity. However, 33% of the country's population lives below the poverty line. Currently, the electricity consumption in the country is 54.4 billion kilowatt hours. The existing grid contains almost 20,000 circuit kilometers of transmission lines, 270 subunit stations, and almost 26,000 megavolt amp of substation capacity. National Power Corporation was created in 1936 as a government-owned and controlled corporation. It currently has privatized stock options, and it is the largest generator of electricity, producing 60% of the country's electricity, and it purchased the remaining 40% from independent power producers. It sells its electricity to private distributors through its transmission network, and currently its rates vary with demand and location, with higher rates in the urban areas, and the average rate currently is 28 cents per kilowatt hours. The company has approximately 2,500 employees with 9 board members and 14 members in the management committee. NAPACOR is the largest corporation in the country with $789 million in assets, and it finances its investments through loans. And in 2010, its cash flows from financing activities amounted to $2.4 million in loan payments, and interest payments alone almost doubled to $4.2 million. So since its creation, NAPACOR has been operating at a loss, and in the most recent decades, its loss has been due primarily to high interest payments and its Missionary Electrification Initiative, which provides electricity to remote areas at subsidized rates. Looking at its revenue, we see that a significant proportion actually comes from their universal charge of missionary electrification, which charges higher rates to the more well-off residential customers. This was approved by the Energy Regulatory Commission to make up for the shortfalls of its missionary electrification subsidy.
From 1972 to 1979, under then Philippine dictator Ferdinand Marcos, National Power Corporation was granted exclusive ownership of all power generation, so the state controlled all aspects of electrical generation. That government had a reputation for cronyism and nepotism. However, corruption issues have plagued Filipino politics for years. In the 1980s to 1990s, privatization began to be seen as a possibility when the Philippines experienced a severe power crisis. This led to the Power Crisis Act of 1993. This presidential decree granted emergency constructions of power plants under build, operate, transfer agreements throughout the country. And these independent private parties stabilized the Philippine economy. In 2009, the government passed the Electric Power Industry Reform Act. And what this act does is it divides the energy sector into 4: generation, transmission, distribution, and supply. Currently, generation and supply have begun to be deregulated, and the National Power Corporation is mandated to privatize 70%. However, the transmission sector has been totally privatized and is now managed by a private consortia, the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines. Generation has also begun to be deregulated, and power plants can be created under build, operate, transfer, or auctioned off to private bidders. An electrical supply can now be considered open for competing retailers. What the government can do under Section 68 is it can cancel any independent private party contract. So this really scares off a lot of investors. The Philippines has some of the highest electrical rates in Asia. 15 million Filipinos don't have access to electricity, and access has not improved in the past decade.
So now I'm going to talk about how to increase supply. Maintenance and development, upgrading aging facilities to address blackout problems, implementing public-private partnerships, improving existing electrical grids so that they can withstand harsh weather conditions, and investing more money into research and development, and then identifying ideal connection points. Way 2 to reform supply is to manage the tariffs that are coming in, to be more efficient. And so based off that, improving incentives to change customer behavior. And then decreasing reliance on imported fossil fuels, invest more money into alternate energy, increasing overall transparency. And the last one is amend the Section 68 of the PIRA Act.